Before this video even begins, I want to start off by asking you guys a question. What is your most hated anime? An anime that just boils your blood anytime you think of it. For me, I would have to say the anime Gangsta. It's not because of bad storytelling, lack of suspense, or character development, but because of the ending. You see, Gangsta had a lot of potential as an anime. The show did a really good job of building suspense for these big fights between multiple characters with pretty amazing superpowers, only to completely chicken shit out with the last episode. Basically saying, hey, if you guys want to see what you wasted 13 episodes on, come back next season. There is an epidemic of shitty anime endings going around. Gangsta, Sword Art Online, Charlotte are all animes that suffer heavily from bad endings. And today I want to talk about why people hate these, how they happen, and what we can do to try to change this. So did the anime you picked earlier do this? Start you off with something pretty strong only to crash and burn in later episodes? I'm assuming the majority of you would say yes. We despise shows that do this for what I think is a pretty valid reason. You see, the shows build us up, create something truly amazing, only to completely fail at its only real task. So why does this happen, and why do I think a lot of shows seem to go down this route? Well, in truth, it's all about the money. Imagine you're an anime producer and you have to choose between two different shows. One has an amazingly well-designed world and the first few chapters are amazing, but the original writer decided to test if he could survive a 10-story drop onto concrete. And then the rest was left to his younger sister, who turns the two male characters into a yaoi romance and ignores the rest of the plot. Or you could pick a show that's a moderate Sword Art ripoff that's consistently meh to the end. Well, as a producer, you've got to eat, so obviously you go with the yaoi fanfic, simply because the first few episodes will have everyone raving about it, which almost guarantees Blu-ray sales despite how terribly it fails afterwards. So, let's talk about some of the examples I brought up earlier, starting first with Sword Art Online, a show that once again started off incredibly strong and then fell apart about halfway through. Nevertheless, the show still did extremely well because the hype around its first few episodes carried over. I'd even say the same strategy was done for the anime Re:Zero, but I already covered that in another video. There are many examples of how well this strategy can work. Sword Art and Re:Zero are both the two most popular shows that really use the strategy of having a strong first few episodes and ignoring whatever comes after. Now let's talk about Charlotte. I actually kind of like this anime, but as previously stated, this show also suffers heavily from a shitty ending. It's a really great story except for the last episode where some rushed bullshit about him saving the world happens. Now do they do this for money purposes? Well, I don't think so. PA Works loves creating these incredible worlds, but they often write themselves into a corner. So this is always sort of an easy strategy to help them wrap up the series, which I think is meant to be nice, but I'm totally going to contradict myself here. I think most of these shows would have been better off leading into second seasons rather than rushing their endings. But I'm getting away from my point here. There is an epidemic of shitty anime endings and I want to bring awareness to it. So many anime try to make their shows either one season long, force a second season for extra money, or just never end. Just off the top of your head, how many half-baked harem anime can you name where the main character never picks a romantic interest? Instead, anytime he gets forced into making a choice, he gets out of making it due to some convenient plot device. Anime desperately needs to find a way to escape these extremely rushed endings, force second seasons for profit, or never fucking ending shows. And for those of you who are thinking, well, Manime, don't you think it's a bit unreasonable? No, I fucking don't. As a matter of fact, I think it should be a requirement. I couldn't find any reliable sources, so don't quote me on this, but apparently Charlotte's Blu-ray sales plummeted, which means as a community, we're already taking steps in the right direction. While I'm on this point, does anyone happen to know a site where I can get reliable sales numbers? If so, leave it in the comments. I will be forever grateful. So how do we encourage the anime community to start making anime that, well, doesn't have shitty endings? Let's start by talking about an anime that everyone's already forgotten about. Relife. This anime came out last year, but it did something a bit differently. They released the entire season in one day. Now the show itself was actually pretty good, but nothing outstanding, so it faded away into obscurity rather quickly. But I think the key here is to the format. If shows were to release entire seasons in one day, it would help us hype up the anime that actually deserve it the most. But as I'm sure many of you are already spotting, there is a massive hole in this argument. Hype. Hey guys, did you see that amazing fight between Midoriya and Todoroki? Oh god, so cool. Yep, this would all be gone. This would make the seasons much less interesting and also lead into a ton of confusion. Quite honestly, it would end up doing way more harm to the industry than it would help it. I don't know, maybe if all anime agreed to release their shows on different dates, you could possibly still find a way, but let's be honest, that is unreasonable. I don't know, and I don't think the studio execs in Japan know either, or I'm sure we'd be seeing some sort of change in the industry ourselves. So what do you guys think? Is there any other way for us to properly fight against this epidemic other than refusing to buy Blu-rays and merch from shows that do this? Let me know down in the comments. If you guys like this content, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Also, super important update. I will be dropping my workload down to 1 video a week until I can get settled down and get back into a rhythm. Also, if you're watching this video right as it goes up, I'll be at Acon in Fort Worth, Texas, so come find me if you can. Make sure you guys share, like, comment, and subscribe. This is Manime. Make sure you guys stay, man. Go watch that goddamn anime!